Frank said crazy shit again, so once again another episode of Grandpa Frank's Tall Tales. But before I get into that, Anthony made a video about Fujita Seiko, and he says a few things that, I don't know, they're kind of wrong. Uh, he talks about how Fujita Seiko talks about the ninja technique for high jumps and long jumps, and he said, "Oh, this is this is stupid. Why would a ninja jump really high and land on his back on caltrops or whatever by a dog? A high jump, you don't have to land on your back. That's actually the Fosbury flop that was invented in 1965 by Dick Fosbury in America. Before that, when people did a high jump, they would either jump straight up and do like a kind of like a flip in the air, but it's on a parallel axis to the bar. So it's like kind of like a kick and land on their feet, or they would just go straight over, straddle the bar, land on their feet, or they would do a roll and land on their feet. But it wasn't until 1965 when Dick Fosbury decided, since there was an advance in the foam that was used for people to land in, because before that it was just sand or like maybe a thin mat, and you had to land on your feet or else you'd be injured. He came up with the idea of throwing himself up, keeping his center of mass actually lower than the bar, but still being able to clear it, and landing on his back, and that was the invention of the Fosbury flop. And since then, that's what everyone's been doing, and that's why you have the idea that a high jump is landing on your back, but it's not. What Fujita Seiko was actually talking about was the standard high jump, just jumping high and landing on your feet. Which obviously could be useful in certain situations. The long jump, same thing, you land on your feet. And obviously, if you've done training and you're doing ukemi, then you know that, yeah, you could do, there's various ways of getting distance and why you should get distance and all that kind of stuff. That's basic martial arts. We don't even have to say ninja for that. That's basic stuff. That's your first day of class. That's the beginning of every class, actually, warming up, doing that taihenjutsu. What else did he say? I know he said something else. I can't remember what it was. I was going to talk about that. What the hell was it? The weapons thing, obviously, yeah, that this weapons like a shuriken appear in lots of schools, but they're not written down. It's usually kuden. You're not gonna find. It's actually dead now because of that. Yagyushin Kageryu lost their shuriken jutsu. You have tons of examples of shuriken from all different schools, but you won't find it written down everywhere. You'll find, Moen Ryu has a scroll, maybe. Shingetsu Ryu, obviously, from Fujita Seiko. A few other schools, Kukishin Ryu, all that. But, yeah, obviously it was a big part of things. They were tools. They were incendiary devices. They were weapons. They were distractionary. You're also not going to find how to hold a sword in various scrolls, because it's basic martial arts. That's what people know. I'm sure there's more, but move on to Frank. Frankie says, it's a song, I think. Oh no, that's Smokey Says. In 1996, in my book, The Secret Man, HarperCollins and ABC Primetime News special highlighting its findings supporting the book was suppressed from sources outside of the industry. Wait, what? I always have to reread Frank's crap because he doesn't know how to use commas or any punctuation, really. So he's saying that his book was on the news, and then he says that it was suppressed and not on the news? Okay. Was suppressed from sources outside the industry that included direct threats against news agencies and publishers coming from the CIA cutouts. I don't know what that means. Entities. Congressional hearings have established that the function under the control of the neocon/industrial war complex, namely those history proves profited to the tune of trillions of dollars by the way of them orchestrating the alleged war on terror, justifying the military invasion of Iraq, and toppling of governments in the region. My health career reputation paid a very heavy price after I survived the defamation of me, as well as recovered from the assassination attempt, putting me in a coma, intent on killing my voice and warning. And the book? While history has unfolded and vindicated my reputation and my findings, nonetheless, the unnecessary loss of life and weakening of our national security, resolve, and standard of living haunts me with feelings of failure. After all, I had dared to go against the political grain by having attempt to prevent this fiasco by shedding light on what was transpiring, that which is obviously attributable to the terrible state of affairs the world is in today. And then it has a link to the Saudis saying that the Americans are the ones who blew up the World Trade Center on 9/11. So Frank says, basically, he knew 9/11 was going to happen, and he could have prevented it, but he didn't. And it was done by the government. Obviously, it was done by the Bujinkan. What am I saying? But I guess that'll come up later. So at some point, Frank was attacked by an assassin. We know this has already been discussed. It was an assassin sent by Steve Hayes, but now it's a CIA assassin because he established the Bujinkan and the CIA are the same thing, and it put him in a coma. So, how no one could kill him while he was in a coma which doesn't, I would think that it'd be pretty easy to kill this guy when he's in a coma, just sneak into the hospital if we're such advanced secret agents and we control the world. Someone could just bust in and, lots of things, a special thing between the toes so there's no detectable injection welt, and then, what happens after that. But yeah, so, Frank knew about 9/11 before it happened, and it was the U.S. government and the CIA tried to kill him, and also suppressed his book, which apparently is on the news, so it wasn't suppressed very well. But what was suppressed very well was the records of him being in the hospital for the coma, any evidence of him working with the government, any evidence of any of the stuff that he says, disarming the nuclear bomb, anything like that, all suppressed. And, fucking idiot. What else did he say? Moves on. Another thing, posts a picture of him and Bolo Young. Says, Bolo Young confided to me that I was faster than Bruce Lee. That was on the set of Bloodsport, he says. And of course, there's no record of it anywhere else. And no way to prove it because we don't have, we can't just contact Bolo Young and, say, who was the fastest guy that you ever saw? Was it Bruce Lee or was it Frank? So there's no way for us to really tell. Oh, unless we do this. This actually works. If we click on this mamags.com and we go to the 1993 tribute to Brandon Lee, and we look at the interview with Bolo Young, who does he say is the fastest guy? This August 1993 issue of Martial Arts Legend. Does it say Frank Dux or does it say? Oh yeah, it says Bolo Young says Bruce Lee was the fastest person he's ever seen. And that's funny because 1993 was after Bloodsport was made, so maybe he got put in a coma too and lost his memory and forgot that he said Frank was the fastest guy in the world. Or maybe the CIA came in with their Eternal Sun. No, it's the Men in Black. That's what I'm thinking of. The Men in Black came in with the thing and erased Bolo Young's memory of Frank because it was obviously a risk to national security if Bolo Young knew about Frank's history as a secret agent. And then was 1993 when the first attack on the World Trade Center was? Let me see. Forget. First World Trade Center attack. Oh my god, it was 1993. Wow. Oh, but it was February 26th. Well, obviously, it would have to be because they came in and then it was August when they erased Bolo Young's memory, and Frank knew about this, I guess, and it was somehow connected to the Bujinkan and the FBI, obviously, because the FBI, Soke was wearing that FBI shirt. So I'm just gonna I'm done. I can't even go with my usual shtick of just making up silly bullshit about Frank because I'm 10 minutes into a damn thing. And whatever. I'm done. No more jokes. Bye-bye.